Thank you, everyone. So the majority of people who are trying to become entrepreneurs, they end up suffering from a lot of analysis paralysis. What that basically means is they're spending a lot of time researching, building pitch decks, talking to their friends, instead of going out into the market, building a product and experimenting. The experimentation is crucial because that will tell you if your product is viable and if you can make money by selling something to a customer. The exact same problem happens to your technical counterparts. As engineers, as technologists, as CTOs, we are inundated with so much choice, it's really hard for us to decide what we should do. We'll be listening to blogs, or we'll be reading blogs, listening to podcasts, and doing a lot of work trying to find the perfect solution for all our problems, and it's really hard to decide. So, as someone who's been helping startups and working for startups for almost 10 years, I put together a bit of a mental model that I use when I'm helping our customers. And I'm going to walk you through that today. So here you see a beautiful image of trees. So the goal is to get to an apple tree and that bears fruit, but we're going to start at the seed stage. So when I work with startups, I work with startups across the entire spectrum. So I'm working with people who are in Y Combinator or Techstars, all the way up to startups who are at the final stage and they're expanding globally and are launching new product lines. But there's a common theme across all of these companies. You have to use the right tool at the right time. Just like growing plants, if I were to use a watering can on a tree, nothing would happen. At the same time, if I were to use a rake on a seedling, my plant would probably die. So it's really important to use the right tool at the right time, and not just that, you have to be very practical about it. I would love to use tractors and automated irrigation systems, but if I'm at an early stage, the tractor will again probably kill my plants, and I probably cannot even afford it because I don't have the money because I'm at the seed stage. The exact same problem happens to technologists and software. So if we look at the startup ecosystem, and more specifically what happens, the different stages of a startup as we scale up, these are the 4 buckets I'm going to talk about. So the first stage is prototyping, where you're building your MVP, you're scaling up, and you're going all the way up until you no longer need help from any of us because you've done an extremely good job. A common theme that across all of these stages is your complexity is going to keep going up. As your complexity goes up, that means you have to spend more time not only on managing a sales team, your technical team, and your customers. The next thing that will happen is your runway. An early stage, your runway is very, very short. You have to make very crucial and difficult decisions on what features you will launch and what features you will not launch. As you scale up, your runway gets longer because you're more successful, you're able to raise more funds. So we're going to go through this and see what this looks like when it comes time to select tools. When I think about tool selection, I think about 2 main dimensions: ease and efficiency. Is this tool going to help me build what I need today? Or have I outgrown what this tool can do, or it's going to cause me more trouble to use this tool to deliver the next set of features? When I think about efficiency, it's about the tool's pricing model, the tool's computational structure, and can the tool scale to the level I need to get to? I know I'm talking about tools, but this also applies for your business processes. When you're designing a business process for your company, do I focus on ease or do I focus on efficiency because this model will scale when I become a massive corporation? Now, the easiest way to figure out what we do is we just follow a simple flywheel. So this is something that's very common. Everyone's seen this before. So you have an idea, you produce something, you measure how successful you are, and you iterate on the circle. So we're going to do that together. So the startup's complexity is this. You have to hit a series of milestones to achieve beautiful, bright red apples. Along the way, to raise funds, you have to hit these milestones, and these are usually business milestones. So you're going to have business founders who are going to maybe stipulate some goals that you have to hit in order to go from milestone 1 to milestone 2. You have to make sure you're getting from each milestone to the next without running out of runway. Your runway is not there to get you all the way from the seed stage to a full-on apple tree, but just to get you from one milestone to the next. And it's very important to keep that in mind. And finally, when I'm doing my tool selection, I need to make a decision if I'm going to focus on efficiency or ease as I go through each of these stages. So let's put this in action and see what happens. So the first stage is the prototyping stage. And then in this stage, you are pre-seed. You're probably a bunch of founders working in a basement developing your application. You most likely do not have any customers. You're looking for product market fit. And what's happening in this stage is you also don't have any runway because all the money you've raised has come from your family and friends. So in this stage, when we're thinking about the types of tools and processes we should build, it has to be about flexibility. We need to make sure that anything we're doing, anything we're building can be easily not only built, but if it's not good enough, I can scrap it and move to the next iteration of my software or my solution for that matter. So my recommendation is in the very early stages to always focus and prioritize on ease and flexibility of your software or the tool you're building or the processes. Another thing to keep in mind when I'm talking about flexibility is also the pricing flexibility. If you could build a solution where you only pay when you use it and you stop paying when you're not using it, that'll give you a lot more runway to continue iterating on your solution. So just like we use electricity, when I turn the lights on, I pay for hydro. When I turn it off, I stop paying. There are platforms out there which will help you achieve a similar setup for your software or for your application. And you want to leverage those types of tools to help you extend your runway. Let's move on to the scaling up stage. Now you've raised Series A. So you've done your MVP, you've found some customers, there are probably some lighthouse customers, and now something very interesting happens for founders. Because you have VCs and investors, they're going to force you, or they're going to ask you to rapidly acquire new customers. So not only are you building a software and coming up with features, you have to now go out there and increase your sales. You have to build a sales team, you have to build a go-to-market strategy. You have to make sure that the salespeople, when they're bringing prospective customers on board, your application can scale to meet that need. So at this stage, not only are you building your team and you're trying to attract talent, you're also building a sales team and learning a whole new set of skills for your company. The only type of talent you're likely going to be able to get are a bunch of generalists. The reason you'll have generalists is because I cannot afford to have specialists in my company right now. If I have a specialist, it's like having a hammer and that makes every problem look like a nail. And I cannot afford to have that. I need people on my team who can wear multiple hats. They'll be developing the application. I want to be able to send that person with my sales staff in front of a customer to talk about how the application works. When my customer has a problem with the solution, they send a support ticket. The same engineer should be able to also help answer those support calls. So I need someone who can wear multiple hats and solve problems across the entire plethora of delivering software. My runway needs vigilance, and I put vigilance with a lot of thought because most companies don't make it past the stage. You've raised your first round, you get very excited, you start expanding and building your team, but you forget what your business metrics are. Your business metrics are not that final orchard with 100 apple trees. It's just to make sure your seed is becoming a small little plant. You're probably taking the seed that's germinated in your home outside and planting it outdoors, and now you're learning how to deal with the environmental impact of winds and birds and everything else. So you have to be very careful of how you're spending your time. So maybe we can do a little show of hands. How many people think we should be focusing on ease and not efficiency? Okay. And how many people think we should focus on efficiency? Okay, so more people think we should focus on efficiency. Excellent. Here's what I think, and we can argue about this after. I think you should focus on ease. You should focus on ease to deliver your features as quickly as possible. So imagine I built a sales team. My sales team has gone out and gotten 10 prospective customers, and they have said, if you can deliver X, Y, and Z features, I'm going to sign up. If I can sign that customer, then I'm going to get revenue stream coming in from 10 sources, and I can use that money to then optimize what I have built. If I spend time building an efficient feature that runs really efficiently, but no one wants to use the feature, I've just wasted a lot of my time and effort. So I would say start with ease. If the feature has uptake and people are using it and the customers love it, then start building a plan on how to optimize that feature. Don't try to optimize everything. Build that feature, test out the market, and if people like it, then you start off with ease and then bring the balance back in. Okay, scaling out. This gets a little easier. So now you have a product, you've raised multiple rounds of funding, you're going to end up growing and making a team of specialists. You had salespeople for Series A or your first rounds. Now you probably need to hire salespeople who can sell up market to enterprises. It's a whole other ballgame. Same thing with your application or your solutions, because you have a team of generalists, but now over time they've all specialized in different areas. You probably also want to engage things like machine learning and artificial intelligence. You want to bring in database specialists. You want to bring in security specialists. You also won't be able to make centralized decisions anymore. All your decisions will be decentralized. So as a founder, you're focused a lot more on the culture of your organization rather than the minutiae of day-to-day of who is doing what and how are we delivering overall software or tools. In terms of your VCs and your investors, they would want a clear path to profitability, especially these days with the end of ZIRP or zero interest rates. It's very important to have a clear path to profitability. So in this case, what ends up happening is because you've already spent so much time getting to Series B, you've already have a lot of customers, you're growing into different geographies, you've built up best practices within your organization. Anytime you want to launch a new feature, you know how to do it. You're going to rinse and repeat the same set of steps over and over again. As a result, what will end up happening again, and maybe I should do the same poll. How many people think we should focus on ease? Show of hands. Nobody. Interesting. Okay, one person. How many people think we should focus on efficiency? Okay, good. So you're going to focus on efficiency. You're all SAs now, by the way. So you're going to focus on efficiency because you already have a roadmap of how to build and release features. What you will end up happening as a result of this is now you have to step back as a founder and think about how I can make that overall solution, how I can make this overall solution simpler. So this animation didn't show up, but the goal is to now go from here back to the middle and find balance in the overall solution I'm building because I have years of experience. Another thing I want to mention about best practices. We talk about best practices, people come and ask me about best practices. Best practices apply to you in your unique situation. If I were to tell you and give you and share best practices, you're going to get very generic, high-level, fluffy answers. And that doesn't really help you. So it's really important for you to come and give us this context. Let me understand where you are, what you need, and me and my team will be able to give you very prescriptive advice. So let's sort of wrap everything up together. So the AWS Startups team, we're a team of technologists and non-technologists who work with startups across North America, and here the Canadian startup team is here. We have a startup booth where we've attended and helped more than 2,500 attendees so far at Collision. I would strongly recommend if you're looking for solutions or ideas on how to bring your startup to life, reach out, get in touch with us, and we will be happy to help you.